Hey Andrew, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. I'm going to go through and talk a little bit about your mechanics and your motion and stop at a few spots and sort of talk a little bit about what we look for and ways to get ourselves consistent. Getting our mechanics into place, we can repeat everything and, most importantly, keeping us healthy and generating power, all right? So basically, right off the bat, initially your setup is just as important. How you start is how you kind of finish and go through your motion, all right? So we're going to mark your head and mark your middle of your body, all right? So as you start your motion, you can see that big rock back, all right? So not only does this take longer, it makes you less efficient, it makes it harder to time, and it makes you less consistent, all right? So what we want to try to get is you started initially in this spot, all right? So now we're going to mark this here so you're a little bit farther over that back foot, and that's just going to make everything more efficient. Just like, sprinters are starting back, again, goes off their first movement forward, they don't rock back, it's just slower, it doesn't help you get everything out of it, all right? So just initially, maybe pop this left foot forward a little bit, but it's really not a big change. We don't want to be leaning. All we're doing is just shifting our hips and moving them back. So now they're in line with that. Just moving our shoulders here and moving them back here now. All right. So just sort of that little initial weight shift will be huge for you. All right. So once we get there, now what we look for is a nice solid position at your balance point. All right. So this is what we call balance point, sort of the height of your leg kick. All right, this is basically the start of everything. This is the start of the motion, the start of the drive. This sort of tells us if we're losing power, if we're going to create a lot of power, and we're basically keying in on your lower body. All right, what we want our hips to stay closed as long as we can down the mound. All right, so you're getting yourself in a good spot here to close your hips off. Now we got to make sure that the hips are staying closed as far down the mound as we can. And not coming open early, all right? The other thing, too, that we want to time is ball coming out of the glove, all right? So we basically want to break our hands as we drive those hips forward, and we'll go through and sort of see a few things. So what I want you to look at, the biggest thing where you're going to lose power is this leg swinging open, all right? So this knee is going to swing open ahead of your hip, all right? So you can see here it's starting to swing. Now it's out ahead of your hip, whereas at this spot, we probably still want to see that foot back here somewhere with your hip leading. All right, so what we mean by hip leading is here, you might be back there. All right, we just don't want that foot to get out ahead so soon. All right. So as you drive through, the more that you're going to be able to stay in that, keep those hips closed and stay in that backside a little bit longer. All right, you're going to start seeing yourself get a little bit farther down the mound, and then that foot strike, which looks like it's about, we'll call it about right there, you're going to see your weight farther back. You're going to see yourself gain a little bit more stride length. So right now your knee's over your heel. All right, this back leg's looking good, but what we want to try to get is our foot our knee a little bit behind our heel. All right, so we're just, as long as you don't swing that out, that weight's not going to lay on that front side, because basically right here, that weight's on that front side, and we want it to stay in that backside in our toes and our knees to maximize all that lower body. All right, upper body wise, you're seeing how this left elbow, you can't really see it in the picture, all right? It's starting to curl out early, so you're popping that left shoulder out early, and we want to try to see it more out here, that glove fixed over that foot. And that'll help you stay closed longer, and that'll put less strain on your elbow and your shoulder. And so what that will also do is, so basically, get this glove out over that front side and then try to keep it there, and then just rotate that elbow down. So now your elbow's going to go from here, and then it's going to rotate down to there at your release point instead of kind of curling in and tucking. All right, so what that does, pulling on your left side does, is through your release, this is basically probably right when that ball's coming out. All right, you can see your back foot's off the ground. and you can see that your head is still behind your foot. Alright, just that little simple fix of keeping that glove out a little bit farther. What that's going to create is your body momentum to go towards that glove more. So now you're going to start seeing yourself go from here. You're going to start seeing you release over that front foot, and you're going to be able to drive through that back leg a little bit more. All right, we don't want to see it off the ground. We want to still see it still on the ground, driving everything out over that front foot, that head and that chest, to create this angle right here. All right, and if you think about punching somebody, is it going to hurt more if you have 2 feet on the ground or 1? It's going to hurt if you have 2, because you're able to drive through, use that lower half. So we just want to do the same thing. We still want to be throwing the ball with 2 feet on the ground, driving through that back side. All right. So now when you're creating this angle, not only using more legs, you're getting more power and everything, but you're also releasing the ball closer to the plate. You're going to be creating more angle, and that's going to get your off speed sharper when you start throwing it. And it's just going to get a lot more pop. It's going to get on the hitter quicker. The more we can get on top and drive out front. All right. So just work on that initial setup. You have a good balance point, and then it's just a matter of keeping your hips closed, driving down the mound farther, staying back, and then keeping that left shoulder closed and getting down over that front foot, and you're going to be good to go. So hopefully, you can see this and make a few quick adjustments, and that'll help you out this year. So good luck this year too. Thanks for making it out to camp, and hopefully you had a great time, and we look forward to seeing you again with ABC.